Good afternoon, everybody in English 1302 online. This is Dr. Myra Salcido, and I am seeing people worrying about the quizzes. Do not sweat the scores on the quizzes, and I'm behind on going in and reading every question of every quiz that everybody takes. The reason for that is MLA style has changed a couple of times, Modern Language Association style. And some things were correct in the 7th of the 8th, and now it's the 9th, MLA 9. I just got the book in the mail. So it's just crucial that you understand formatting a paper, how to put a heading on the top, the title, the 1 inch around each margin, Times New Roman typeface, size 12. I will know if it's 12.5. Yeah, I was a newspaper editor for many years, and I could just eyeball type and tell you what size it is. So, bumping it up to 14 doesn't make your paper longer. Old trick, but anyhow, so whatever score you have on your quiz, it might be a 66, it might be a 60, don't panic yet. It's slow going because I'm manually going in and reading the questions and seeing the answers you picked and deciding whether it was really covered in the lecture or not. I do need to change quizzes that were done by another professor and in an earlier time, and we need to really be changed with the times, and I think it will be for fall, and that's why I did not require you to get a book that is already obsolete, MLA 8. So it's taking me a while to grade, because I'm going in and adding points in, especially anywhere where you have an essay type of answer, or you have to type in an answer that the computer doesn't correct right away. It just leaves a 0 until I go in there and put in the points. So I don't want anybody panicking. I'm going as fast as I can, but I'm trying to be as fair as I can also, and I understand it's kind of turbulent with things changing this summer. So there's that, and you should already be starting your first draft for Martin Luther King Jr. paper on the uses of persuasion in rhetoric, ethos, pathos, and logos. And I did a long video on that. And by the way, if you're not seeing my videos, let me know and I will connect you to them. I am putting them on YouTube. And this one I will send around in the Canvas email and also put in the course. So I did talk in a previous video about Martin Luther King Jr. and the difference between him, Martin Luther, and Martin Luther King Jr.'s father, Martin Luther King Sr. So I don't need to go over that again, but if you missed that video, please do check it out. Now, when you start the paper, you need to introduce who King was, the time period, what was going on, why he was in Alabama and Birmingham, especially. So use the background in a textbook or scholarly papers, and I will look and see if there's something else I can upload that you can use for background that is educational. Do not use History Channel. Do not use random websites. Usually if they end in .gov, Gov for government, or .edu for education, which is what you probably should be using on your academic integrity website, is cite university, a university's policy, or something on academic integrity. And I'm telling you that a little late in the game, because that everybody is due today, tonight. So I will be looking at your academic integrity assignments tomorrow, and they're really important to the course that you completed, and that's why I extended the due date. But back to your first paper, try to use good vocabulary. Try not to say the same word over and over again in a sentence, in several sentences. It distracts the reader, takes them out of reading your paper. Don't use words like stuff, vague terms when you could be specific. And quotations are extremely important to show that you can put King's Word in a full quotation inside the paper in quotation marks with parentheses at the end of the quotation, and you would have page number in the quotation. And hopefully you're using a source that has a page number. If you're reading something on a website or Kindle, you might not. And I will check in the course and see what we've linked to Letter from Birmingham Jail, because we have changed links a few times when websites have gone down that are legitimate websites to use. So you need to be very wary. Do not use brainy quotes. Don't use these random websites. If the is .org.com, and for goodness sake, stay off the free essay sites. That's considered plagiarism, and you will find people from our course in the past. Some of the courses at UTPB have sent in their essays, and I pretty much know what's up there and what the university has gotten taken down. But they're called essay meals, free essays, and then you got to pay to read more, or you can have a custom one made, and then you learn nothing. And by the time you get to literature, you can't write a paper at the sophomore level. And then they come back to me and say, how did that person pass your class? And I don't let that happen. I've been around the block a few times, and I know what is legitimate, and I know some of the essays that are out there. So please, it's not worth it. It's never worth it to plagiarize or to use the words of somebody else without attributing the source. And that's what the citation, in-text citations, is when it's inside the body of your paper. The works cited page is something different. And I think I put an essay, a King essay, in your course. If not, I will do so and tell you where it is in the email when I send this around. And I will have an example paper that's in MLA style that you need to use. And you have to keep in mind that this wasn't that long ago when Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. I was too young to really know what was going on at the time when he was assassinated, but I was alive when that happened. And when President John F. Kennedy was assassinated, I remember being lost coming home from school because there were no cell phones. They just let everybody out, closed the gates, and you were on your own to go home. And I had always followed the big kids, and by some stroke of luck, unfortunate, unfortunately, all the older students went home first, and then they shoved the kindergartners out the door, and it was like, I always followed the big kids that didn't know, and it took me hours to get home. So it was kind of crazy times. Everything was chaotic, and I have this magazine, 1988. It's huge. Yeah, but magazines were big. This is Life, and it's Martin Luther King Jr. And in 1931, where's that page? I should do a better job marking these things. Well, let's see. When in 1954, when they integrated schools, this was one of the first Black students to integrate a school, and look at the people behind her yelling, and some people were even spitting. And in fact, the lady yelling, years later, I have an article where she apologized for doing it. But can you imagine being the only person of a certain ethnicity going to a school where everybody yells at you to go home? They don't want you. And then in the 60s, we have the Freedom Riders, which had white folks, black folks ride buses, and this bus has been bombed. They were riding what they call the Freedom Riders to take people to vote, to try to get them to be able to vote. So these were kind of tragic times. And then this is a picture of King being arrested. What you need to know, he was a minister, reverend, doctor, and dressed nice, walking down the street, but protesting. And the way he protested was very passive. It wasn't aggressive. If the police officer came up to him, he would get down on both knees. And they roughed him up, would grab people, turn fire hoses on them, sick dogs on them. And you will find in Letter from Birmingham jail, some of it is pretty brutal. So I am going to end this video and make another one, a little bit more about the paper and a little bit about the research paper. So I just can keep going. Don't wait for me. But I'm trying to go as fast as I can so you get feedback from one assignment before the next assignment. So what I need to do next is read your market letters, your junk mail letters. That's always fun for me. It's like opening up Christmas presents or something, I really enjoy reading those. I once had a person develop their own device, which is he had managed to hang beer cans on a horse's harness. And so he had beer can holders, and that was the product he was marketing to folks out on the farm. So yeah, it can be silly, and that's fine as long as you are persuasive in getting the point across. So I will send this around and see you at the next video.